The hearts of women from all over the world stopped from this brutal, bald-headed actor, and thousands of young men watched cult films with his participation again and again. He is an actor with almost 90 films and series under his belt. He is a megastar, a trendsetter of the menacing look and the white jersey, and one of the highest-paid movie actors. Work gave him the opportunity to become someone else. However, millions fell in love with Bruce Willis for his cynicism, charisma, brutality, and eternal desire to save the universe. What did the actor have to do to get his first roles? How did he feel about showing his genitals in that one shot, and why did his wives live together? What led to the fact that the famous Bruce Willis began acting in B-movies? You will learn the answers to all these questions and more today from our video. You're on the Biographer channel. Sit back and we start. Walter Bruce Willis was born on March 19th in West Germany in the city of Idar Oberstein. Bruce is half German. His mother, Marlene, was a pureblood German, and his father, David, was an American who came to Germany to serve in the army. Then, love happened. His family moved to his father's homeland in New Jersey when the future actor was 2 years old. Bruce became the eldest of 4 children. He has a brother, David, and a sister, Florence. The second brother, Robert, died of cancer in 2001. The Willises were a working family. His father worked for different years as a welder, a mechanic, and a worker at a factory. His mother worked part-time in a bank. The breakup of his parents affected him so much. Bruce stayed with his father, and their mother took the other 3 children. "Our family kind of exploded and everybody went off on their own," he recalled. "I did all right, especially in the humanities. The best thing I got out of school was an enjoyment of reading. But I went into high school in 1968. We did everything everybody did at that time. Smoked dope, learned to drink early, and hung out." The boy grew up insecure. He studied well at school but suffered from severe stuttering. Willis was saved by an unexpected thing. He auditioned for a role in a school play, A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, and realized that he no longer stuttered when he was on stage. After that, Bruce began to play regularly on stage. It helped him overcome the speech feature, as well as become very popular in class. Each performance added self-confidence to him. "When I acted, I was being a different person. The emotional trigger that caused me to stutter, I don't know what the fuck it was, stopped when I would act. Finally, I told myself I wasn't going to be affected by it, and I grew out of it." This experience made a big impact on the young actor. It was at that time when Willis formed his image of an ironic, sarcastic guy who doesn't give a damn about anything. Later, having become a world star, he would meticulously hone his lines and answers, try to maintain his own image of Bruce Willis, and make sure that he does not stutter again before each interview and performance. In parallel, the boy's love for music was traced. He tried to sing, playing along on the harmonica. School friends gave Bruce the nickname Buck Buck. The young man became the chairman of the student council in high school, even though the future star did not take his studies too seriously. Bruce was one of the smartest. He could have easily become a straight-A student, but he believed the main thing at school was fun and not studying at all, recalled his classmate. Bruce was eventually expelled from school for participating in a big fight. The adventures of the future star did not end there. When he turned 19, he was arrested for drugs, for 2 joints, one behind each ear. Bruce searched for his place for some time after leaving school in 1973. He worked as a security guard at the Salem nuclear power plant, was a bus driver for the DuPont Chemical Company, and studied the business of a private detective. But nothing could satisfy his aspirations, and he was finally convinced of the path he had once planned: to become a professional actor. He did not have enough patience to master academic knowledge despite his aspirations. Bruce studied for a year at Montclair State University and dropped out, and graduated only years later by correspondence. The thirst for activity led him to New York, where Bruce knocked on the doors of theaters. The young actor skipped classes to audition for plays since the college was only 20 minutes from New York. They did not want to take him anywhere for a long time. Finally, Bruce got a role in the play Off-Broadway, after which he immediately dropped out of his education. It was 1977, and he was 22 years old. Working in the theater did not particularly bring income. That's why the guy had to earn extra money either as a bartender or as a waiter. Willis got a job in a popular New York bar called Central, where actors like to hang out. A short career as a waiter also did not work out due to sluggishness, but the actor was remembered to people as a good bartender. He impressed visitors with his appearance: a torn t-shirt, wide trousers that looked like a parachute, roller skates, and a colored headband. He hummed songs, played the harmonica, and joked while wandering around the hall. Bruce's bar colleagues gave him the nickname Bruno. Willis starred only in episodic roles, as well as commercials, while there were no great successes in film and television. The debut appearance on the screen was the first participation of the young man in a fragment of the scene of the film The First Deadly Sin, which the audience saw in 1980. The guy was noticed in the bar by the casting director and invited to try himself. You can see the young actor in the episode when Frank Sinatra comes out of the bar, followed by a man in a cap. It was Bruce. We also saw Willis in the episodic role as an observer in the court in the film The Verdict 2 years later. Willis starred in a commercial for Levi's in 1984. His appearance turned out to be powerful, even though the actor was given only a few seconds at the end of the video. Made some good dough for the first time when $100 seemed like $1 million, the actor recalled.
Levi's 501 blues. Love them blues. Oh yeah.
In addition to commercials, Bruce appears on the television series Miami Vice, playing Tony Amato, a brutal international arms dealer who is closely watched by the FBI. A breakthrough in the actor's career happened in 1985 after he participated in the detective series Moonlighting, playing one of the main roles. Initially, they wanted to refuse Bruce. The representative of the TV channel considered it inappropriate for the role of a private detective of a guy with an earring in his ear, a punk hairstyle, and in a military uniform. But the director of the series, Glenn Gordon Caron, saw in the guy the impudence and charisma and allowed him to participate in the auditions with Sybil Shepherd.
Nah, wait a second. Can't fool me. The eyes don't lie. Not these babies. Photographic. See something once and it's locked in there forever.
Really? I didn't notice anything locked in there.
No.
The actress who was already approved for the second main role. Thus, Bruce got the opportunity to prove himself in a major project, bypassing almost 3,000 contenders for the role. He fondly recalled participating in the show. It was like an experimental theater group. We were doing something that was on the edge. There was hardly any rules. Sybil was fabulous, particularly in the first few years. We were both really jamming. It was rumored the passion and quarrels between Sybil and Willis were not only on the screen, but also behind the scenes. Although the actor himself denied this, we would disagree about how scenes should be played, but that's part of the process, he said, as well as denied sexual attraction. There were hot days when things might have sparked or something, but there was nothing to report.
Fine.
Fine.
Good.
Good.
Bitch.
Bastard. Get out. Get out!
Bruce became very popular after a few episodes. The series was nominated for 16 Emmy Awards, including in the Best Actor category after the second season. It was not only nominated, but also won, among others, in 1987. Later, Bruce admitted that such fame was unexpected for him. It definitely turned out to be bigger than what I had imagined, but I knew it was good when I saw early scenes. I think John McClane, the director, shone. He would do things with the camera that I wouldn't always understand. He made it really exciting, non-stop claustrophobic. The ratings began to decline by the end of the third season, partly due to the development of love relations between the main characters and partly due to Sybil's pregnancy. Bruce's fading interest in the weekly series also added fuel to the fire. Popularity attracted the actor to a big film. Willis stated that he would never star in a TV series again after filming Moonlighting. But after a while, he nevertheless broke his word by playing a cameo role in Friends. But there was a special reason for this, which we will discuss later. Willis got his first major film role in the romantic comedy film Blind Date, directed by Blake Edwards in 1987. The actor's partner in filming was Kim Basinger, who got the role of the protagonist's lover. Bruce again got a comedic, slightly ridiculous character, Walter Davis. He was always kidding and was not very serious about what was happening. As we will see later, it was difficult for Bruce to get rid of the comical image. The actor did not forget about commercial advertising projects. In the same year, he starred in a video for the alcohol brand Seagram's, together with Sharon Stone. Cooperation with the brand lasted for many years later. Passion for music has become a kind of hobby of the actor. In 1987, he recorded and released his first album, The Return of Bruno, named after his old nickname. The album consisted of 10 songs in the style of blues and soul. Willis performed the main vocal part throughout.
I feel so good today.
The album became quite successful. It took 14th place on the national Billboard 200 list, the song Respect Yourself took 5th place on the American charts, and the composition Under the Boardwalk went up to 2nd place in the UK national chart. Bruce met actress Demi Moore at the premiere of the detective comedy Stakeout on August 5, 1987. Love took their heads off and they got married on November 21st. In her autobiography, the actress shared her memory. "We were moving to the gambling tables when Bruce said, 'I think we should get married.' We've been joking about it on the flight there, but suddenly it didn't seem like he was kidding." No one believed in the seriousness of their relationship, as the actor had a reputation of a womanizer and a drinker. The actress thought different. In an interview, she admitted that Bruce is fully ready to open his arms and give her love. And she was not mistaken. Willis gave up alcohol and went headlong into the family. Their first of 3 daughters, Rumer Glenn Willis, was born a year later. Scout LaRue and Tallulah Bell were born in 1991 and 1994. By the way, Bruce loves to cook. The film actor admitted in one of his interviews that he even attended various cooking courses to cook delicious food for his beloved daughters. If I ask you, what is the first Bruce Willis role that comes to your mind, you will most likely name the cool and witty police officer John McClane. It was this role that brought the actor worldwide fame, love for many years, and good fees, of course. You can't help that. However, it wasn't easy to get it. Bruce competed with actors such as Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Harrison Ford, and Richard Gere, but they all turned down the job for various reasons. The role was specially rewritten for Willis after he was approved. Instead of a brutal lone hero with iron fists with a meager emotional spectrum, he was a lively, sensual, and humorous guy who periodically deals with bad guys.
I'm a cop from New York.
New York?
Yeah. Got invited to the Christmas party by mistake. Who knew?
The film had overwhelming success. Box office exceeded all expectations of the creators, and so it was decided to shoot 2 more sequels. Willis received $5 million for his role, which greatly alarmed the industry and the media because it was a really huge fee at that time. Alan Ladd Jr., then chairman of MGM, complained that such a salary was a standard that would throw the whole movie business out of whack. However, the distributor of Die Hard, 20th Century Studios, insisted Willis was worth it, only he was able to carry off an action hero who had walked in off the street, so happy and cynical that he seemed to nod to the fact that he was in a movie. But, as you know, 3 films about Die Hard were not enough, and as a result, the world saw 5 sequels: Die Hard 2 in 1990, Die Hard 3 Retribution in 1995, Die Hard 4.0 in 2007, Die Hard A Good Day to Die in 2013, and Die Hard Year One in 2019. Offers poured in after the very first movie, and a new role was assigned to Willis. It was the role of the world's savior with a great sense of humor who can get out of any situation. But it also had another side. If Willis was worth $5 million, he had to prove it. Becoming an atypical modern main role actor, some kind of Hudson Hawk of Hollywood. Of course, Willis was recognized by the whole of Hollywood, but it never again let the established image be forgotten. In addition to the famous role in 1988, another less-known film with Bruce was released. It was Sunset by Blake Edwards. The actor got the main role of Tom Mix, a Western actor who by chance is forced to become a real detective. The film did not come out very well, receiving the Golden Raspberry for the worst director. After Die Hard, Bruce starred in Norman Jewison's drama In Country, which was released in 1989. He got the role of the main character's uncle who was trying to shed light on the life of his dead brother and the girl's father. Willis was nominated for this role for the Golden Globe Film Award, despite the lack of a plot and insignificant box office. Soon, we could hear the voice of Willis in Amy Heckerling's romantic comedy Look Who's Talking. He voiced the film's protagonist, a toddler named Mikey. The stars of the time, John Travolta and Kirstie Alley, became his partners on the set.
Now that is a little more like it. Whoa. Hey, here's Mr. Hand here. Wow. Oh, now that is very cosmic. I don't understand. Whoa.
The movie received mixed reviews from critics, but despite this, it became a hit and grossed $297 million. Therefore, it was not surprising that soon the audience was able to see the continuation in the form of the second part in 1990. It was followed by the role of journalist Peter Fallow in the 1990 American comedy The Bonfire of the Vanities, directed by Brian De Palma. But the attempt was unsuccessful. The tragic comedy received 5 nominations for the Golden Raspberry. It was one of the few works by Bruce in which he agreed with the assessment of film critics. "I would not do it again, given the opportunity," he said about the film, and added, "The movie was based on a great book, but one problem with the story, when it came to the film, was that there was no one in it that you could root for. In most successful movies, there's someone to cheer on." One of the cult films with Willis that the world saw was Hudson Hawk by Michael Lehmann, which was released in 1991. In the next comedy, the actor got the role of Eddie Hawkins, a conscientious thief who was trying to resist an insidious corporation. The film received mixed reviews, became very popular in the world, and grossed $80 million at the box office and performed well on home video. The film was criticized in the United States. The average rating barely reached 4 out of 10, and the box office was only $17 million. Leading film critics were ruthless. Roger Ebert disliked the movie, describing it as a complete disaster. Variety called the film a relentlessly annoying clay duck that crash lands in a sea of wretched excess and silliness. Those willing to check their brains at the door may find sparse amusement. But the actor did not agree with the critics. In one of the interviews, he said that he considers their assessments to be biased, especially when it came to his acting. If they put their mind to it, they can crush a movie or an actor. The critical media in general can conspire to make people feel stupid if they see a movie. It happened with Hudson Hawk. It had nothing to do with the film. They were reviewing before anyone saw a frame of it. It was just my time to catch a beating in the press. Perhaps it was that first negative experience that influenced the subsequent way Bruce chose the roles. Later, he would say, "I chose the role that I like. In the future, the actor will be easier to assess his work." I stood back and looked at how much power I was giving to these people. I thought, if they say I'm good, am I good? If they say I suck, do I suck? I realized that wasn't the scale by which to measure oneself. In addition to Hawk, in the same year, 2 more films with Bruce's participation were released: the action comedy The Last Boy Scout by Tony Scott and the trailer for Mortal Thoughts by Alan Rudolph. They were warmly welcomed. The Last Boy Scout was very difficult to implement due to the conflict between the writer, director, and studio, who had different visions of the visual presentation of the material. The studio wanted to do something similar to Die Hard with the formula of explosions every 10 minutes of the film, and therefore they constantly made adjustments both to the script itself and to the final material. This naturally affected the atmosphere on the set, making it very tense. Bruce, as expected, was assigned the role of a champion of morality and justice, and the part-time private detective Joe Hallenbeck, who, with the hero Damon Wayans, are trying to unravel a series of murders and trying their hand against the mafia. Willis was to play with the charming Demi Moore in his next film, Mortal Thoughts. It was an unusual role for the actor who was used to playing only positive characters. That time, he needed to play a cruel drug addict husband and a rapist who was overtaken by karma. Interestingly, many scenes of the film were partially improvised, and no one knew what the ending would be until the film crew started shooting. Mortal Thoughts received 2 nominations, the Chicago Film Critics Association Awards and the National Society of Film Critics Awards, but the actor didn't receive any award. Another great comedy in the actor's filmography was Death Becomes Her by Robert Zemeckis, where Bruce worked in tandem with Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn. As you remember, the role of Bruce was not too heroic. A drunken husband in an unsuccessful marriage is a traitor and a former plastic surgeon who rarely shows symptoms of courage.
I don't want to live forever. I mean, it sounds good, but what am I gonna do? What if I get bored?
What?
And what if I get lonely? Who am I gonna hang around with, Madeline and Helen? What if something happens to me? What if I get maimed? What if I get shot? What if somebody pushes me down What if I fall down a flight of stairs or something?
But you never grow old.
Yes, but everybody else will. I'll have to watch everyone around me die. I don't think this is right. This is not a dream, this is a nightmare.
The film was technically very difficult to produce, as it was created with the use of computer effects. For example, becoming the first film in which the texture of the skin was reproduced. There were some excesses too. Streep accidentally cut Goldie Hawn's face in a scene where their heroines are fighting with shovels. The black comedy grossed $149 million at the box office, beating production costs, and also pioneered the use of computer-generated effects, winning the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. But critics were less friendly to the film. Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert both gave Death Becomes Her a thumbs down, commenting that while the film had great special effects, it lacked any real substance or character depth. Bruce did not disdain episodic roles either. In the black comedy The Player by Robert Altman, he was given only a cameo, but he was able to hug a half-naked Julia Roberts. Another profitable direction in his work was filming in Japanese commercials. He was lucky enough to become the face of the commercial work of Subaru legacy automobile NTT Dokomoko Mova in the 90s. The work of the actor in several smaller film works came next. Loaded Weapon 1 was released in 1993. It was an American parody of the popular action films. John McClane did not bypass this list, and therefore Bruce appeared in the role that the audience loved, albeit episodically. It was impossible to do without the role of a detective. Roddy Harrington's Striking Distance released the same year. It expanded the actor's list of action movies. The actor was once again in an unchanged image of a serious, brutal man wearing a cap. But there was another problem. Willis actively interfered with the script and, according to the film crew, was very self-willed during filming. This led to production and editing difficulties for the movie. Scenes added by Bruce made the plot so confusing that test audiences who were shown the film criticized it. Because of this, the movie was partially reshot and the actor was very unhappy with it. Moreover, he accused the directors of this and in 2014 said that that movie sucks. Critics agreed with Bruce. The film earned no more than 3 points out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. Owen Gleiberman called the film a flat, dankly lit, grindly inept thriller about a serial killer whose victims all turn out to have been acquaintances of Willis's rumpled, alcoholic cop hero. 1994 did not bring success. American noir film Color of Night by Richard Rush was awarded the Golden Raspberry as the worst film of the year. And even Bruce, in the role of a romantic psychologist, did not save the picture.
No. But I'm still a romantic. I just don't have anybody to be romantic with.
By the way, this film was widely discussed for the scene of underwater sex, where we can notice the actor's genitals. Later, Bruce admitted that he agreed to do this scene only because the director promised him to show the final result and cut out shots that the actor would not like. But Richard Rush did not keep his promise. The actor himself was not happy with the situation. The fact is, fuck scenes that are just hard work. They are the most uncomfortable acting days you will ever experience. You're naked in front of 90 people with, most of the time, a woman you hardly know. You're trying to develop a language of intimacy to make the scene believable. Everybody is watching. You're bare-ass naked. You're sweating. It's very unsexy. Willis played a minor role as a not-too-pleasant type of contractor for whom the protagonist, played by Paul Newman, worked intermittently in Robert Benton's comedy-drama film Nobody's Fool. The audience highly appreciated Bruce's work, calling it quite solid, despite the specific role. The film was nominated for an Oscar, a Golden Bear, and a Golden Globe, and also won the Berlin Film Festival Award for Best Actor, unfortunately not addressed to Willis. But if you have not seen the brutal Willis in the image of the Easter Bunny, then, I will surprise you, there was such a thing. He reincarnated several more times, being the image of either a wise fairy or the guardian angel of the protagonist in the family comedy North by Rob Reiner. By the way, write in the comments which Willis movie you watch most often. But the implementation failed. The box office was only $12 million, with $40 million spent, and received mostly negative reviews from critics who called the film one of the worst films of the year. Among other things, the film had multiple nominees for the Golden Raspberry Award in the Worst Film and Worst Director categories. But then it happened. Quentin Tarantino created his famous masterpiece, Pulp Fiction, which has become a cult. The success of the film was facilitated by the original, inherently non-linear script and excellent cast in the faces of John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, Bruce Willis, Christopher Walken, Steve Buscemi, and Quentin Tarantino himself. Willis got one of his most striking roles. It was Butch Coolidge, a professional boxer who tries to act by his own rules.
Little Lobos. Is that Mexican?
My name is Spanish, but I'm Colombian.
That's some halo you got there, honey.
Thank you.
Initially, Tarantino wanted to give the role of Butch to Sylvester Stallone, since, according to his idea, the boxer should have been played by an actor with a combat record, who had already achieved Hollywood fame. But in the end, the role went to Bruce, who really wanted to play it. Moreover, this role went to him by accident. Harvey Keitel told Bruce about it during a personal meeting, and the very next day, during Harvey's barbecue, Willis and Tarantino met. They talked for a long time, and the actor admitted that he wanted to star in the film as he really liked the script. The dialogue was perfect. There's so much real life in this wild story. That's what I like about it. The film's premiere was a sensation. It won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival, where it was presented and instantly earned a good reputation. At just over $8 million to produce, Pulp Fiction paid off more than 22 times. Todd McCarthy called the movie an exciting pop culture spectacle, an amazing, huge success. And Movie Maker summed up the overall impression. The film was nothing short of a national cultural phenomenon. As a result, Pulp Fiction earned several Oscar nominations, winning in the category of Best Original Screenplay, as well as the Golden Globe and BAFTA. Bruce appeared in Terry Gilliam's dystopia 12 Monkeys in 1995, and also had a cameo role in the black comedy 4 Rooms. 4 directors worked on this picture, including Allison Anders, Alexander Rockwell, Robert Rodriguez, and Quentin Tarantino. Willis played for free in 4 Rooms, and even agreed to remove his name from the titles because, according to the rules of the Screen Actors Guild, artists have no right to play for nothing. Bruce got the familiar role of the savior of the world in the work of Terry Gilliam. This time, he played James Cole, a prisoner who agreed to participate in an experimental time travel program in the hope of defeating an insidious virus. An incident occurring during the filming, Brad Pitt, who also got a role in the film, called Willis "Oh Mighty Bald One." The latter was not offended. My head was shaved for the film, which was weird. It's a scary, monstrous look. Fortunately, I have a nice round head. What you don't want to do is shave and find out you have one of those misshapen pinheads. As you understood, by this moment, Bruce had not yet earned his famous bald head. The film paid off at the box office and earned $168 million, as well as many nominations for prestigious film awards. Willis also finally got the award, the Saturn Award for Best Actor. Terry Gilliam said after working together, "Bruce is very powerful when he's still, not blowing up half the known universe." The next year was not very successful. Bruce got the main role in the action movie Last Man Standing. He played mercenary John Smith, who is fighting Mexican gangsters pursuing his own goals. Even though the actor was nice to see in a suit and a felt hat, the movie could hardly be called a masterpiece. Roger Ebert described the film as desperately dull, dry, squeezed, and laconic. Even the movie's hero is bad company. He expressed his attitude towards Bruce's work. The audience was divided in their opinion. Some criticized the weak acting and a lot of noise, as well as those who highly appreciated the acting of the protagonist and the development of the film. Many saw it as a continuation of the role of Die Hard in a new way. Willis did not get rid of his heroic role in the animated series Bruno the Kid, which was created by the actor himself and produced by the independent animation studio Film Roman. In it, Bruce voiced the main character, the same Bruce, only 11 years old. Even the hairstyle hinted at something. In 1997, Willis starred in a film that many viewers have loved for many years. Namely, it was the fantastic thriller The Fifth Element by Luc Besson, where he played in tandem with Milla Jovovich. Corbin Dallas is a taxi driver and ex-military who leads a dull existence until fate literally falls on his head in the form of a charming and gentle Lilu. There was everything: shooting, irony, well-designed images that have become iconic, and great humor. As always, the unshakable and courageous Bruce with dyed hair looks in his place. His image was perfectly set off by other heroes. No one can argue with the cultural influence of The Fifth Element. Many phrases from the film have become popular quotations.
Copy, sweetheart. What was that?
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Yeah.
Multipass.
Multipass. She knows it's multipass. Lilu Dallas.
Besson came up with the idea of love between a taxi driver and an alien girl in his teens, but he was able to realize it many years later. And then, after the success of the two previous projects, La Femme Nikita and Leon, since before that, not a single film studio agreed to give a lot of money for the sake of a young director. He was able to get a credit of trust after receiving international fame. But the first appetites still had to be tempered. It is because of this that he did not expect to get Willis as the main character. "I don't have enough money for your honorarium," Besson said, and heard in response, "Let's agree." Willis liked the script, and they really agreed on friendly money. He later clarified, "Sometimes I can do something just because it's fun and interesting." Crew members of The Fifth Element recalled, "Bruce had a reputation for being difficult, but with us, he acted like a real sweetheart. The reason is that he absolutely trusted Luke, as did all of us." The Fifth Element became the highest-grossing film in the history of French cinema, earning $264 million, and also received several awards: the César Award, the Lumiere Award, the Golden Screen Award, and an Oscar nomination.
Not an exercise.
1 minute, all right? Just stay here for 1 minute, I promise.
This is a police control.
Don't touch anything.
This is not an exercise.
Two more projects by Willis were released in the same year. He played cameo roles as an amnesiac patient on Mad About You and Michael Caton Jones's The Jackal, which was a dubious success. Once again, it was indestructible and formidable Bruce in the role of a super killer named Jackal, an elusive master of disguise. Gradually, the actor's career began to slip. But Bruce did not lose his passion for work and tried various projects. Willis was diligently trying to get rid of the role, showing himself as a versatile actor. When choosing roles, he also based on the artistic component. The story was important to him. And the success of some of his works was explained by the lack of the young Willis's wish to participate in the race for awards in the early years. He clearly chose non-standard roles based on his own taste and not from commercial prospects. I'm drawn to them because they have obstacles to surmount. It's more interesting than playing the George Hamilton character who shows up with the great car and the beautiful girl. When I chose those movies, I never thought about whether or not they had similarities. I thought about whether they were good stories. That was confirmed by an interview with Willis, which he gave to Bobby Wygant on the NBC show in 1988.
Well, I really choose my films to satisfy myself. I don't really concern myself with what I think the audience wants.
But the public was eager to see Bruce Willis as Bruce Willis. The world saw Harold Becker's action drama Mercury Rising in 1998, in which Willis shared the lead role with Alec Baldwin. There was the standard hero image in ragged jeans and a windbreaker, so familiar to us earlier. That time, an FBI officer who was trying to protect a 9-year-old boy with autism who had revealed a secret code. The film brought the actor another Golden Raspberry in the category of Worst Actor. He received another Golden Raspberry after the release of the action movie The Siege by Edward Zwick, in which Bruce played the role of General William Devereux, an antagonist in a film that hardly earned the sympathy of the audience. To be fair, The Siege was different from the standard action movie with the bangs every 10 minutes. There was grim realism, slow development of events, character development, and intellectual component at the core. There were no funny jokes and barbs, which many were looking for in films with Willis. Michael Bay's Armageddon made little difference. The film had an impressive cast: Ben Affleck, Liv Tyler, Billy Bob Thornton, Steve Buscemi, Owen Wilson, and good box office.
That is our courage. The dreams of an entire planet are focused tonight on those 14 brave souls.
I'm happy that the end of the world amuses people so much. Willis commented on the film's popularity at the box office. But that work brought Willis the Golden Raspberry. There were both the film itself and the actor in the nomination for the worst male role. He played the head of a brigade of oil drillers. Bay's work was accused of too loose recourse of the filmmakers to the laws of physics and elementary logic, for technical inconsistencies in the image of the Mir orbital station, and the illiteracy of disclosing the work of astronauts and other gross errors. The director was trying to somehow justify himself for many factual errors, and said that the production studio did not provide the film crew with either resources or time. We had to shoot the entire movie in 16 weeks. It was a huge job, unfair to the film. If only I could redo the third part, but the studio literally took the film from us and it was terrible. But the film turned out good. But the anti-premium did not affect the popularity of the actor. Sony released a shooter for the PlayStation with the telling name Apocalypse in 1998. The main character's face was based on Willis. He was covered with sensors to do that. Catching movements, his face was digitized. Plus, the actor voiced himself. The height of the cinematic career of Bruce and Demi Moore led to the fact that the marriage gradually began to crack. It became difficult for them to balance between career and family. Moore and Willis agreed to build their schedules so that they were shooting at different times and not leave the children without the care of at least one of the parents. But this only led to the fact that the spouses began to spend very little time together. Rumors about the relations between Willis and Liv Tyler during the filming of Armageddon complicated the situation. As a result, the couple broke up in the summer of 1998 after 11 years of marriage, and 2 years later, in 2000, they divorced. In an interview, Bruce admitted that he did not know what happened between them. "I still love Demi. We're very close. We have 3 children whom we will continue to raise together, and we're probably as close now as we ever were. We realize we have a lifelong commitment to our kids. Our friendship continues. It's difficult to live your life and marriage under a magnifying glass, which is what happens to movie star couples." Willis did not hide his joy after the divorce. "The bachelor life is incomparable. I love women." The disillusionment with monogamy led to the fact that over the next 10 years, Bruce will change women like gloves. Nevertheless, the former spouses to this day remain on good terms, supporting each other. 1999 was more successful in terms of a career. Bruce got the role of Dwayne Hoover in Alan Rudolph's tragic comedy Breakfast of Champions, a respectable company owner who slowly goes crazy after reading a book by Kilgore Trout, another main character. Dwayne's mental state becomes so unstable that it drives him to suicide attempts. The movie turned out very expressive, but the comedy did not work out. The film received wide popularity at the box office and was even nominated for a prize at the Berlin Film Festival the same year, despite the loose interpretation of the novel based on which Breakfast of Champions was written. But Willis earned a new round of popularity thanks to another film. It was the mystical drama directed by M. Night Shyamalan, The Sixth Sense. The actor really succeeded in the role of a specialist in the field of child psychiatry, trying to atone for his guilt and correct a mistake. You should notice that it was not comedic. It was far more sweaty t-shirts and gunfights. By the way, Willis had to learn to write with his right hand for his character since he is left-handed in life. The duet of Bruce and Haley Joel Osment was highly appreciated by the audience.
You know what yo no quiero morir means? It's Spanish. It means I don't want to die. What do you think these ghosts want when they talk to you?
The film was the #1 at the box office for 5 weeks, grossing over $672 million after release. Critics also praised the film. Willis received 2 nominations at the MTV Movie Awards in the categories of Best Actor and Best Screen Duo with Haley Joel Osment. For the role, the actor earned a tidy sum of $100 million. Bruce remained and remains one of the highest paid actors despite the ups and downs in his career. In one of the interviews, he was asked if this makes him happy. He replied, For whatever reason, if there is a reason, if there is destiny, I'm a fortunate man. Some religions hold that I'm being rewarded in this life for whatever happened to me in a past life. Whatever happened back then, I don't know. I have no explanation for it. I'm just leading a charmed life. I have fallen into or created fortunate circumstances. Bruce's craving for melodramas was gradually traced. The comedy drama The Story of Us, directed by Rob Reiner, was released in the same year, where Willis and Michelle Pfeiffer played a married couple with 15 years of marriage baggage. But they didn't play very well. In any case, film critics did not believe them. A lack of chemistry between Bruce Willis and Michelle Pfeiffer fatally undermines the dull and predictable Story of Us, the audience summed up. The actor did not lose the opportunity to star in the series in addition to the big movie. In 1999, he appeared in the comedy drama series Ally McBeal as Nickel, Ally's replacement therapist, and he had a small role in the cult TV series Friends in 2000. He got the image of Paul Stevens, the formidable father of the student and lover of Ross Geller, with whom the latter began a relationship in season 6. However, there was an interesting story connected with the appearance of Bruce Willis in the series. It became known after the release of the series that Bruce's participation in Friends was the result of a lost bet with Matthew Perry. This happened during the filming of The Whole 9 Yards, where both actors were involved. Matthew was sure that the film would be very successful after the release and beat the box office, but Willis did not believe in the big success of the picture, and he lost. Bruce is generally a very gambling man. He loves gambling and betting for no reason. He prefers poker to card games. He even won $500,000 at one of the tournaments. A cameo in Friends earned Willis an Emmy Award for Outstanding Guest Star, so he made a bet for good reasons. The actor donated the fee for appearing in the sitcom to 5 different charities. The action comedy The Whole 9 Yards by Jonathan Lee, released in 2000, really turned out to be a success, and the duet of Willis and Perry became memorable. Bruce got the remarkable role of hitman named Jimmy Tulip Tedeschi, a charming and cunning professional killer who unsuccessfully tried to live a quiet life.
She's not a good person.
You've killed 17 people, and you don't think my wife is a good person?
It's not important how many people I've killed. What's important is how I get along with the people that are still alive.
It seemed like the role of the philosophizing killer was written for him. It fits perfectly into the image that made Bruce loved and recognizable. Ironically cynical, crafty, charismatic, and cool. It was said that Bruce wanted to get Matthew Perry as a partner so much that he tried to persuade the latter to shoot on his own. But Perry was on vacation, so Willis had to constantly communicate with his answering machine. One day, he left the following message to him, unable to withstand such a fate. "I will cut off your legs, burn your house, and watch you die." Later, this cannibalistic joke was included in the film. As you understood, Matthew was impressed. By the way, the 3 girls running between Tulip and Nick when they were standing at the flower stall are the 3 daughters of Bruce Willis. The Whole 9 Yards grossed $106 million, audience love, and caused a sequel in 2004 that was less successful. Another movie of 2000 was John Turteltaub's drama The Kid, in which Willis played Ross Duritz, a wealthy 40-year-old image consultant. His character achieved a lot, besides what he really dreamed of. He hid from pain and loneliness at work with the help of contempt for other people, and fate magically brought him together with an 8-year-old version of himself. The fate of Walt Disney Pictures films is rarely successful. Well, here again. The film received mixed reviews from critics with a budget of $110 million. It has been called erratically simplistic. Roger Ebert was surprisingly positive about the film. Disney's The Kid is warm-hearted and effective, a sweet little parable that involves a man and a boy who help each other become a better boy and a better man. However, The Kid was nominated for 3 awards, one of which won Young Artist Award. M. Night Shyamalan's superhero thriller Unbreakable continued the wave of Willis's success. It had another good actor in the face of Samuel L. Jackson in the main role, and was released in 2000. There were 2 antagonists. Bruce, as Unbreakable David Dunn, was a former American football player who unexpectedly learns about his superpowers. and Jackson as Mr. Glass was a gallery owner who suffers from a rare disease that makes his bones very brittle.
You know what the scariest thing is? To not know your place in this world.
The director's unusual approach to filming a thriller, a non-standard, slow pace of development of events, the absence of special effects and stunts familiar to a superhero movie, and unusual camera angles created a bewitching effect. Leading critics appreciated this move. Even Roger Ebert, who did not like Bruce, admitted that the actors give performances you would expect in serious dramas. Willis, so often the centerpiece of brainless action movies, reminds us again that he can be a subtle actor. If this movie were about nothing else, it would be a full portrait of a man in crisis at work and at home. Therefore, it was not surprising that over time, Unbreakable became the first part of a trilogy. Split was filmed in 2016, in which Willis appeared for only a few seconds. The world saw a logical continuation of the first part, Glass, in 2019. In it, the actor got the same role of David Dunn, nicknamed the Overseer, who, along with his grown-up son, keeps order in the city. Glass was rated worse than previous works. Pavel Solomatin, a reviewer for the Intermedia website, described the film as follows. Glass can neither surprise nor frighten. It is terribly secondary to past films, although it can still please the audience with several very beautifully constructed scenes and shots. The actor also did not forget about music. He released a second album in 1989, If It Don't Kill You, It Just Makes You Stronger, but it didn't repeat the success of the first album, despite the growing popularity of Willis as an actor. In addition, Willis performed soundtracks for some films despite the modest achievements of the albums. So he sang Good Lovin' together with Sybil Shepherd for the famous detective series, and also performed the songs Swinging on a Star and Side by Side for the movie Hudson Hawk. In addition, he had songs for the movie The Whole Nine Yards and the cartoon Rugrats Go Wild under his belt. Interesting fact, Bruce hates bad guys not only on the screen but also in life. So after the September 11 attacks, the actor announced that he would personally pay $1 million to anyone who would provide information about the whereabouts of Osama bin Laden. And at first, Willis turned to the Ministry of Defense with this proposal. They thanked him but politely refused his help. Then Bruce made a public statement promising a reward to any civilian. But we'll get back to the films. The shot across the bow about fatigue and career stagnation are gradually traced. Critics are increasingly opposed to the work of the actor, and the audience did not support all of his characters. Only one film with Willis was released in 2001. It was the crime drama Bandits, directed by Barry Levinson. The actor was in his standard role for this movie. This time, it was the ironic and charismatic Joe Blake, a bandit who, using sleight of hand and flexibility of mind, together with his colleague Terry, carries out a series of night robberies and got away scot-free. The film was nominated for several film awards, including the Golden Globe and Screen Actors Guild Awards. A more serious character, and frankly less impressive, turned out to be Bruce in the military drama Heart's War by Gregory Hoblit, which was released in 2002. His Colonel McNamara, and indeed the whole story, turned out to be very unconvincing. It was flat and monotonous. Well, at least that's what the weak box office and audience reviews said about it. In addition to Heart's War, the actor appeared in a cameo role in Barry Tubbs' film Grand Champion, and in the film adaptation of Sam Shepard's theater play True West. The television version was directed by Gary Harwelson and filmed in front of a live audience in 2001 at the Company of Fools Liberty Theater. You would definitely remember the cynical and aggressive role of Bruce, a tramp and a petty criminal in a torn white jersey and with impassioned speeches on a chair. Willis appeared with the same serious expression in 2003, this time in Antoine Fuqua's military drama Tears of the Sun, where he got the role of U.S. Navy Lieutenant Waters, who, as usual, was forced to break the rules to save civilians. The heroism of Bruce's character was rated average, and the box office did not recoup the budget. And even the beautiful Monica Bellucci as Dr. Kendricks could not save the situation. Tears of the Sun earned an average of 4 out of 10 on film critic websites. For those who don't remember or didn't pay attention, Willis played a role in the second part of the acclaimed Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, directed by MCG. He played the role of blonde Minister of Justice William Rose Bailey, who was successfully eliminated by the heroine Demi Moore. Rumors said that Moore's participation in Charlie's Angels marked her return to the big cinema, but because Willis agreed to a cameo as a favor. There was also a second condition. The three main characters promised to make a public service announcement about the adoption of children, which they fulfilled. During those years, Bruce increasingly began to appear in cameos because he was paid good money for a small role. Who wouldn't agree? Willis had another stellar cameo in 2004 where he played himself in the second part of Steven Soderbergh's Ocean's 12. He played, but not very well. The director's attempt to spice things up was an unexpected twist in which the main characters met Bruce Willis was unsuccessful. In the scene, Bruce was trying to expose Julia Roberts as the fake Julia Roberts, but he clearly lacked good jokes and a general understanding of what needed to be done. Gradually, the actor became more and more withdrawn and opposed to the press. He tried to appear less and less outside of work and carefully worked out every phrase. The media became an adversary, something almost every actor faces. People think that if it's written down, it must be true. I just walked through it. Somebody's making money. It's a really shitty side of show business. It trades in human foibles, human tragedy, human misbehavior, and humiliation. And most of it isn't true. All they give a fuck about is selling this shit in the stores. Things have gotten a little better since 2005. The psychological thriller Hostage, directed by French director Florent Emilio Siri, was released, where the actor got the main role. Jeff Talley was a famous police negotiator who lost his job after failing on a mission. He had to find himself again, and Willis was able to get a role again in which he is good and saves the world again with a thoughtful grimace on his face. Overall, the film paid off and even earned 2 nominations, Golden Trailer Awards and Taurus Award. After that, Willis starred in the crime drama Sin City, directed by Robert Rodriguez, who co-wrote with Quentin Tarantino. The film was shot in black and white in the visual style of Frank Miller's graphic novels, whose work formed the basis of the film adaptation. Together with Bruce, Mickey Rourke, Clive Owen, Benicio del Toro, and Jessica Alba played. The role of Willis differed slightly from the standard. He played Detective John Hartigan, the most honest police officer of a fictional city who was trying to save a girl from a maniac.
Here I was expecting a skinny little bookworm. Maybe a bit too shy for her own good. How little she told me about herself in all her letters. Over all those years.
Stylish, gloomy, unusual, bloody, and inimitable Bruce Willis summed up one of the commentators on the site of Film Critics. James Berardinelli placed the film on his top 10 list of 2005 films. Roger Ebert awarded the film 4 stars out of 5, calling it a visualization of the pulp noir imagination, uncompromising and extreme. Yes, and brilliant. The film was awarded the Grand Prix at the 2005 Cannes Film Festival. A sequel to this movie, Sin City 2: A Dame to Kill For, was shot in 2014, but the second part was less successful than the first. At the same time, Willis starred in the youth series That 70s Show, where he got the role of Vic, the chatty security chief of a Playboy club in Chicago. You certainly don't expect to see an actor in a funny wig and thick glasses, fond of talking about himself in the third person and nacho chips. One of the best works of Willis can rightly be considered participation in the film Lucky Number 11 by Paul McGowan, which the audience saw in 2006. The actor was in the company of Josh Hartnett, Lucy Liu, Morgan Freeman, Ben Kingsley, Sam Yeager, and others on the set. A kind cat is a ruthless and cunning killer with a cold look. Bruce, as always, played a tough guy, showing the power broker of the story.
Calls himself Mr. Good Cat.
Fine. Tell him he can expect me in the morning. You ready?
Lucky Number 11 bounced back production costs by doubling the box office and received mixed reviews. The film won 2 nominations at the Milan International Film Festival, Best Film and Best Actor, but the award was again passed over by Willis. 2006 did not bring successful work. The premiere of Richard Linklater's drama Fast Food Nation took place in May, where the actor got the role of Harry Rydell, a local supplier who personifies the modern consumer with his cynical and superficial attitude to modern realities. The film became a product of the local cinema market and was created to focus society's attention on the culture of consumerism, expose the fast food industry, corporate abuse, and the perception of a person as an element of a big machine. Participation in such work was an indicator of his civic position of Willis and his willingness to spend his truly golden time working on socially significant movies. But you can't run away from the standard image. Bruce got to play the balding detective Jack Mosley, suffering from alcoholism and depression, who follows his honor and tries to save the main character from a corrupt conspiracy in 16 Blocks, directed by Richard Donner. And he succeeded, of course. The audience was able to admire Bruce's mustache and the cake at the end, but judging by the reviews, they expected more from the movie. At least they expected not just the standard story about corrupt cops. Roger Ebert gave the film 3 stars out of 5 and praised the actor. Jack may be middle-aged, he may be tired, he may be balding, he may be drunk, but if he's played by Bruce Willis, you don't want to bet against him. Surprisingly, a completely different film was released at the same time. It was Alpha Dog, with the opposite of Bruce's usual image. He played the role of Sonny Truelove, a classic representative of organized crime, who encouraged the drug business and dangerous teenage games of his son.
What can I do for you?
What did you have in mind?
Get another round of drinks.
You haven't finished the last one.
I didn't ask you that. Just get us some more fucking drinks. Get us some drinks, bitch.
The film is serious and difficult, but at the same time, rough, bitter, and honest. The director tried to create a truthful movie about the everyday life of the American golden youth, about the values of people and the price of modern society, in which the image of a classic bastard with a golden chain around his neck was considered cool. The unfunny comedy of Nick Cassavetes met with mixed reactions and was a success at the box office. The consensus on film critic websites states, "A glossy yet unflinching portrait of violent, hedonistic teenagers." Bruce Willis and Sharon Stone chew the scenery, while Justin Timberlake gives a noteworthy performance. A rather unusual experience for Willis was the voice acting of a two-faced and selfish raccoon named RJ, who became one of the main characters in the cartoon Over the Hedge. But the cartoon became very successful, collecting $340 million at the box office, as well as positive reviews from film critics.
Okay, buddy, you just rest easy, all right? Because I'm on it. Hey, in a week from now, we're going to be laughing about this thing, huh?
Over the Hedge earned a ton of nominations, and Bruce received a Kids' Choice Award in the Voice from an Animated Movie category. Willis did not stop working hard, and in 2006, his work was rewarded. A star was placed in his honor on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He co-starred with Halle Berry in James Foley's noir thriller The Perfect Stranger in 2007. The role of a playboy and a potentially dangerous guy was similar to the standard image of Bruce. But whether it was done intentionally or not, Harrison Hill is not the main character. He was shown carefully, as if indirectly, and for a long time we believed in the story that they are trying to show us. The audience greeted the film coldly. It was rated hardly higher than 3 points out of 10 on the sites of film critics. Willis's participation in the exploitation film Planet Terror by Robert Rodriguez marked the actor's career problems. It was also about his commercial approach to choosing roles. He played Lieutenant Muldoon, a crazy military man who released a gas that turned people into zombies. Planet Terror failed at the box office despite positive reviews from viewers. It's not surprising because Rose McGowan dressed in a sexy outfit and with a cannon leg was an affecting spectacle. But I would not look for a deep philosophical meaning in the film. Another cameo was Bruce's role in the detective comedy Nancy Drew by Andrew Fleming. In it, he again played himself, who allegedly shot a crime film in Los Angeles. Even though we're not used to seeing an actor in any role other than an unbreakable tough-ass, he didn't shoot anyone, blow up anyone, or even turn away from the explosion with a calm expression on his face. The comedy drama What Just Happened by Barry Levinson was released in 2008, where Willis again got the familiar role of himself. Moreover, it was interesting to note that he portrayed a capricious and vicious movie star who rattled whatever he wanted. How far is this image from reality?
My 3 last pictures against your 3 last pictures. How about that, huh? Let's talk about integrity, huh?
You don't have 3 pictures. You don't have any pictures. You know why? Because you're a fucking producer.
The detective comedy Assassination of a High School President by Brett Simon gave the actor one of the main roles, an eccentric school principal with a military background named Jared T. Kirkpatrick. Straightening, baldness, and an ironic sight looked at us from the screens, and gradually this image became more and more familiar to us. The film received mixed reviews, 5 out of 10, but Bruce was dubbed high, calling his acting hilariously intense. The next year can hardly be called productive. The actor appeared in only one film, Surrogates, a fantastic action movie by Jonathan Mostow. It was the main role of FBI agent Tom Greer, who, investigating the murder along the way, changed the world order in a dystopian future. The white jersey was replaced with a leather jacket, but there was the familiar and beloved Bruce in front of us, gloomy, purposeful, and invariably fair, though with a small beard. Surrogates also could not please with numerous positive reviews. Bruce was caught by the paparazzi with various models and actresses for 10 years after breaking up with Demi Moore, but he never announced an official relationship. The only significant relationship in that period was the actor's romance with the model and actress from Baywatch, Brooke Burns. The relations began in 2003. It was even speculated that Bruce gave the actress a diamond ring from Cartier, but after 9 months the couple broke up. Maybe the schedules didn't match. Perhaps the woman was jealous of the actor's ex-wife. He often disappeared from her. But another significant woman in the life of Willis was Emma Hemming. It was she who changed the life of the actor. They met with the actor before. Emma knew about the adventures of an avid bachelor, but she was not against courtship, and therefore they gradually began to be seen together at parties. The couple looked happy despite a decent age difference. The couple got married in March of 2009. Emma gave the movie star 2 more daughters, Mabel Ray in 2012 and Evelyn Penn in 2014. It is said that with the advent of a new wife, Willis's attitude to marriage changed again, and the actor himself admitted that with the advent of a girl, he became much happier. Hemming admitted speaking about their relationship. "I think we've always had a lot of respect for each other, which has really helped build a great foundation. He makes me laugh. He's funny and he's smart and nuts and always keeps me on my toes, so it's fun." By the way, the new wife has an excellent relationship with the first wife of the actor, Demi Moore. Moreover, the couple invited them with their older daughters to their wedding, and the Willis and Moore family spent a period of isolation during the coronavirus pandemic together. I have so much respect for her. I have so much respect for how Bruce and Demi worked through their divorce to be able to put their children first. "We've become like a tribe," Bruce Willis said of the relationship his children have from both marriages and how his family has grown together. Speaking about his relationship with Emma, the actor says she pulled him out of the dark place he was in. "I went from love to love is truly the answer. I spent the last 10 years single and for the most part unhappy," he shared. A new upsurge of success covered Willis in 2010. It happened thanks to several works, but at the same time, a new approach to the actor to filmmaking can be traced. The first is Kevin Smith's action comedy Cop Out, where Bruce and Tracy Morgan played the role of police officers. The film was shot in the genre of a police buddy movie, where a dynamic plot and well-woven humor connected. But with humor, everything did not turn out so clearly. Created on the verge, it caused an ambiguous reaction from the audience.
Knock, knock.
Jim, don't do it. Don't do it. If you value our partnership, don't do it.
Who's there?
Why'd you do it, Jim? Why? Why? To humiliate me?
Orange.
For what? No. No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. 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 Hell no. 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 I refuse. No. No. Aren't you, damn it?
Aren't you pissed your wife's taking the ass from another guy right now?
In general, Willis's participation also became ambiguous as a result. Some appreciated his work in the film, and others believed that Bruce had slipped into standard cliches and antics, flat acting, and weak motivation. And the film has become a set of stamps and caricature images. The fuel to the fire was added by the conflict between the director and the actor. Smith would later say that working with Willis broke him the most in his career. His laziness, avoidance of work, and self-willed behavior on the set. So in a scene in a cafe, according to the script, 2 people were supposed to speak, but Bruce had his own view on this and the script had to be urgently rewritten. In addition, the director mentioned the actors' exorbitant appetites, pointing out that a significant part of the budget went to Willis's honorarium. He described their cooperation as a clash of unstoppable force with an immovable object. It worked very differently from the way I used to work all my life, and our mannerisms did not go well with him. It seems to me that I was simply not his director. Maybe he just did not respect me in this status. Smith did not invite Bruce to the party to mark the end of the filming of the picture, and among other things, he made a toast in which he noted that he thanked all the participants in the project except Willis and swore at the actor. I want to thank everyone for working on the film, except for Bruce Willis, who is a fucking asshole. Too arrogant person. He stated in a book published in 2021 that darkness lives inside Bruce. The film grossed $55 million with a budget of $30 million, which is considered mediocre in the film business. In The Expendables by Sylvester Stallone, Willis was waiting for another cameo, a CIA agent named Mr. Church. For a day of work, the actor received $500,000. Despite the Golden Raspberry, the film received a sequel, The Expendables 2 and The Expendables 3. Stallone, Willis, and Schwarzenegger on 1 square meter could not help blowing up the audience of action movie fans. And because the film was expected to gross a very good box office, $274 million, Bruce's role in the second film expanded significantly. The original lineup was joined by Jean-Claude Van Damme, another veteran of the genre, Scott Adkins, Chuck Norris, and the younger generation in the person of Liam Hemsworth.
Well, I got 3 pieces of work. 2 a walk in the park, and 1 to hell and back.
I need some time alone.
Hey, cheer up. Make the meeting.
The old generation gave more gunpowder, which is confirmed by the result of the rental. More than $340 million and several positive reviews from film critics. With over 239,000 votes, The Expendables 2 was rated 6.7 out of 10 on the Internet Movie Database, an international, freely editable movie database, and also ranked among the top 10 films of the year by users. Bruce didn't play in the third film. Exorbitant appetite was to blame. He asked for $1 million for each day of filming, and a total of 4 days was planned. This caused a negative reaction from Stallone, who shared his opinion on Twitter. Greed and laziness, a formula that inevitably leads to the collapse of a career, he wrote. The Hollywood Reporter's source apparently added, I think Willis was pretty surprised he was replaced in 72 hours by Harrison Ford, a better actor, a much nicer person, and a more interesting direction for the film. Bruce remains one of the celebrities who are actively involved in charity, despite the opinion of Kevin Smith. He founded the Bruce Willis Foundation in 2000, whose mission statement is, "We're raising funds and promoting initiatives to help those who need it most. With an array of fundraising events and volunteer projects, we welcome you to join our endeavors aimed at making the world a better place." Among other things, he supports organizations such as Children's Hospice and Palliative Care Coalition, Fisher House Foundation, and Hope North. The actor donated 5 of his motorcycles in 2012 through 2013, which he put up for auction to help veterans and wounded U.S. soldiers. There has been a clear deterioration in the quality of the actor's work since the late 2000s. He appeared in lower-budget films that weren't geared towards cinema releases. An episodic appearance that appeared less than 15 minutes in production of screen time has become a new trick for the actor. At first gradually, and then that feature became almost the personal brand of the actor. But it was not all bad. The bet was still made on blockbusters. The promising project of the year was the action comedy Red by Robert Schwentke, in which Willis got the main role. The film is an adaptation of the DC comic of the same name. Frank Moses is a retired CIA operative who is on the run to save his girlfriend from mercenaries. There is the same impenetrable savior of the world who has both a menacing look and a lover. Everything is the same.
Crazy. Don't think that I don't think this is crazy. And it couldn't be more different than how I'd hoped to meet you for the first time.
Bruce was accompanied by Morgan Freeman and John Malkovich, who played the protagonist's former partners. By the way, the date of birth of Frank Moses in the film coincides with the real date of the birth of Bruce Willis, March 19, 1955. The action and daring jokes were appreciated by the audience. The film grossed $199 million, and it has an average rating of 7 out of 10 on the sites of film critics.
Where are you trying to kill me?
I'm not trying to kill you.
Oh, yeah, you are. Why would I be trying to kill you? Because the last time we met, I tried to kill you.
Red was nominated for several film awards, including the Golden Globe in the Best Film, Musical, or Comedy category, Satellite Award, Artios Award, Saturn Award, and others. It is worth mentioning that in addition to cinema, the actor is working hard on commercial projects. At the turn of the millennium, he took part in print advertisements for police glasses, he advertised Visa credit cards in 2001, he ate something tasty in a Japanese advertisement for the Subaru Legacy Outback in 2005, and he joked in an advertisement for Sobieski Vodka in 2010. The crime drama Setup was released in 2011, where Bruce was accompanied by Ryan Phillippe and 50 Cent. Here, the actor got a set of nice ties and a role of a mafia boss named Biggs. The film failed at the box office, even though many viewers praised Bruce's performance well. The actor did not disdain to advertise. He got the role of Mr. Suave in an interesting commercial project from Nike, The Black Mamba, apparently which became a continuation of the role of The Expendables.
Or some other megastar we can't afford, but hopefully he loves basketball.
Catch 44 was another failure. Willis played a drug lord named Mel in Aaron Harvey's crime thriller. Viewers complained about the insipid, tense, and predictable story, and the actor could not save the situation. Writing for The Hollywood Reporter, Dwayne Burge said, "There's some fun, cheeky inside stuff. Bruce Willis wailing respect, which might make for hilarity in talent agency screening rooms, but that's about the most favorable demographic this low-caliber oddity will attract." The next year was productive in terms of the number of works, but not in the terms of their quality in the majority. The world saw Bruce in the comedy drama Lay the Favorite by Stephen Frears in January, which tells about an ambitious woman in the world of gambling. The image of an enterprising young lady went to Rebecca Hall, and Willis had to portray the owner of the bookmaker's office, Dink Hamowitz, who got the beautiful wife Catherine Zeta-Jones in the image of his spouse Tulip. The film was not appreciated by critics, and the audience gave it an average score of 1.8 out of 10, which is significant. The action movie The Cold Light of Day, directed by Mabrouk El-Mashri, was released on April 6, where Willis played a CIA agent whose family was embroiled in his professional showdown. Analyzing the feedback from the audience, we found this: when good actors are absolutely unable to draw out the general worthlessness of the film. It wasn't catchy, everybody said. It was followed by Wes Anderson's comedy drama Moonrise Kingdom. Willis got the role of Captain Sharp, investigating the disappearance of the main characters. The movie turned out to be original and unique. It was slightly strange, but undeniably special. And the role of Bruce came out quite bright and memorable, the first dramatic image since The Sixth Sense.
Nobody's going anywhere. He's not getting shock therapy.
That's it! I am citing you for gross misconduct.
Moonrise Kingdom received good reviews from film critics. The average rating was 8 out of 10 on specialized sites. And the film received several nominations, which did not bypass Willis. So, he won the category Best Supporting Actor in the Film Award Independent Spirit and the Society of Film Critics of St. Louis. David Barrett's crime drama Fire with Fire premiered on August 31st, in which Willis shared the lead roles with Josh Duhamel and Rosario Dawson. The role of Bruce here was not much different from the classic one, the chief of police, who still believed in fair justice and tried to cover the ass of the protagonist on every turn. Some viewers noted that the actor did not try hard here. Insipid, lazy, not expressive, and it seemed that he played his role for half a day, between sandwiches. Bruce appeared in several scenes despite the claimed lead role, furrowing his brows pretentiously and reasoning from corruption. There was no epic, no meaningful action. Already, there was a strong feeling that Willis took up hack work for the sake of money, while not particularly straining. One of the most iconic films of this period was Rian Johnson's sci-fi film Looper. The actor was the first to be offered the lead role, and he immediately accepted. Willis's partners on the set were Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who played the role of Willis's hero in his youth, and Emily Blunt.
Must hurt. Wasn't sure you'd remember her. Yeah, I put it together. Clever. You know, there's another girl who works here on the weekends.
By the way, the Gordon-Levitt had to spend 3 hours every morning in the makeup chair to look more like Willis. He added special features of McClane. In his performance, Joseph also drew on the work of Willis, imitating his image in the star's latest roles. It turned out well. Willis clearly enjoyed shooting to his heart's content, and in his character, the audience did see the aged, tired, but still scrappy Bruce, whom we loved in our youth. The film received extremely positive reviews despite flaws in the plot and motivation of the characters. The average rating was 8 out of 10, and James Mottram of Total Film gave Looper 5 stars out of 5, concluding that it was the best sci-fi movie since Moon, the best time travel yarn since 12 Monkeys, and one of the best films of 2012. A scandal erupted in the media in 2012. It became known that the daughters of Willis and Demi Moore refused to support their mother during the difficult period of her breakup with Ashton Kutcher. Willis was extremely outraged by the behavior of his daughters. The actor threatened them that if they continued to treat their mother so disrespectfully, he would block all their bank accounts and leave them without a livelihood. Whether Willis did what he was going to do is unknown, but the actor continues to communicate with his older daughters and his ex-wife. Willis was awarded the title of Commander of the French Order of Arts and Letters in honor of the 30th anniversary of his acting career and for his great contribution to cinema in 2013. Bruce is gradually losing ground despite the audience's love and faith in the ageless favorite hero. Everything played against the actor, the same type of characters in which fatigue and a superficial attitude are felt. The actor's attempt to keep up not with the role, but with the dollar. A scandalous reputation.
Bruce goes back to making shitty movies.
The actor's attempt to get back to his career is clearly visible in 2013. There were the 5th part of Die Hard, the 2nd part of Red, and the continuation of Sin City. The iconic but aged John McClane was extremely negatively welcomed by critics, although the picture collected its jackpot of $304 million. The film received only 2.8 out of 10 on review sites. And everything in which he starred from this period was very coldly perceived by the audience. Such was the fate of the films The Prince in 2014, Vice in 2015, Extraction in 2015, Precious Cargo in 2016, Marauders in 2016, Once Upon a Time in Venice in 2017, and The First Kill in 2017, and other films that were released during this period. The actor has shown signs of decline in recent years, according to those who have worked with Willis on his recent films. In an interview with The Times in May of this year, nearly 24 people who were on set with the actor expressed concern about Willis's well-being. Willis's team made sure that Bruce's participation in the filming was limited to 2 days, and the actor himself, according to the contracts, was supposed to be on the set for no more than 8 hours. But he barely stayed for 4, according to sources. Willis tried to reanimate himself in the theater, so he made his Broadway debut in Stephen King's adaptation of Misery as writer Paul Sheldon in 2015. The show opened at the Broadhurst Theater and caused a flurry of negative reviews from critics who described the actor's performance as empty and inert. Alexis Solosky, The Guardian. Willis, though well cast, taciturn suffering has more or less become his thing, but doesn't seem particularly endangered. His Sheldon is a little weary, a little resigned, but not especially like a man in mortal jeopardy. The actor has not completely lost his grip by 2018. He deservedly took jabs as well as he gave them on the hot seat for the Comedy Central roast of Bruce Willis.
Under my wing, try to make you tough, try to make you an action star, which ain't easy to do with a kid who looks like the bad boy of figure skating.
The most highly rated film of the last decade can be called Motherless Brooklyn by Edward Norton, in which the actor starred with Alec Baldwin and Willem Dafoe. The film was released in 2019 with a story about a detective with Tourette syndrome who was investigating the murder of his partner. That partner, named Frank Mina, was played by Bruce. However, he played only 5 minutes, but not bad. Other second-rate films with Willis in the roles and on the poster came after that. Among them are Survive the Night, Hard Kill, Breach in 2020, American Siege, Out of Death in 2021, A Day to Die in 2022, and others. However, none of them received critical acclaim. The directors of second-rate films simply used Willis's reputation to get at least some attention paid to their films, and his participation, even for a few minutes, ensured that those films could be sold internationally. Willis's collaboration with director Randall Emmett played a big role. Crossing their paths was the worst choice for Willis's career, but the best decision for his bank account. Randall has developed a one-shot movie system in which he invites people who want to spruce up their resumes with the experience of working with veteran stars. The latter only need to work for a couple of days for $1 million and share their photo for the poster. The star usually appears only in 3 scenes: at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of the film. In Hard Kill, Willis is on the screen for a total of 7 minutes, in Extraction 8, and Survive the Night just under 10. In recent years, Bruce has acted in 29 films, 20 of which were owned by Randall. At the same time, 16 of them have a rating of less than 10% on the sites of film critics. But the reputation began to suffer. The effectiveness of films from sci-fi dystopias to imitations of gangsters has been that they require the actor to do only one thing: be Bruce Willis. And it doesn't matter if the actor played well or badly, the implementation of projects resting on a disgusting script and direction. Bruce Willis was nominated for his performance in Edward Drake's Apex, as he was for all movies he appeared in 2021, in the category of Worst Performance by Bruce Willis in a 2021 movie at the Golden Raspberry Awards. Bruce did not forget about advertising. He walked around the office of the internet provider Sky Broadband in a striped bathrobe in 2012, and his commercial work with Honda and Koa Coffee CM was released in 2014. He epically drank Hell Energy Drink in 2018, and the world got acquainted with the epic appearance of the actor in the Die Hard battery commercial and Hell Energy Coffee in 2020. Bruce's work has suffered greatly in recent years, despite his best efforts. Actress Lala Kent, with whom Bruce starred in the 2020 film Hard Kill, said that he forgot about lines several times during filming. In addition, there was another incident during filming. Bruce unexpectedly fired a gun loaded with a blank on the wrong cue, according to 2 people familiar with the incident, who were not authorized to comment. No one was injured, but the film's producer disputed that the incident occurred, but the alleged discharge left actors and crew members shaken. Director Mike Burns, who worked with Bruce on Out of Death, said that he had to fix the actor's lines a lot. After the first day of working with Bruce, I could see it firsthand, and I realized that there was a bigger issue at stake here and why I had been asked to shorten his lines. Burns did not want to continue working with Willis after that experience, but the actor's agents persuaded him, arguing that McClane was better. But the director noted, filming Wrong Place in 2021, "I thought he was worse. I'm not going to do any other Bruce Willis movies." He was followed by Jesse V. Johnson, who, after working on White Elephant, also refused to continue working with the actor on other projects. We are all Bruce Willis fans, and the arrangement felt wrong and ultimately a rather sad end to an incredible career, one that none of us felt comfortable with. One of the members of the White Elephant film crew admitted that there were times when an actor was given a line, but he simply did not understand what it meant. He was just being puppeted, he concluded. The LA Times reported that the actor traveling with Willis would feed the actor lines through an earpiece, and most action sequences featuring Willis's character were shot using a body double. Most of the action scenes, especially those involving stage shooting, were filmed using a stunt double instead of Willis. It was actively discussed on the internet whether the actor was aware of his diagnosis in recent years, working in films where, according to the Times, he was paid $2 million for a few days of work. Even though Bruce had a large personal team that protected him from prying eyes and anxiety, it could not save him from gossip. Terry Martin, production manager for The White Elephant, recalled the collaboration. He just looked so lost, and he would say, "I'll do my best." He always tried his best. The actor's family officially announced in 2022 that Willis was ending his career due to aphasia, a brain damage disorder that affects cognition. This is a really challenging time for our family, and we are so appreciative of your continued love, compassion, and support. We are moving through this as a strong family unit and wanted to bring his fans in because we know how much he means to you as you do to him. As Bruce always says, live it up, and together we plan to do just that. Fans and colleagues supported Bruce. One of the actors who sent a touching message to Bruce as soon as he heard the news was actor Sylvester Stallone, writing, "We've known each other for a long time. I'm praying for the best for you and your beautiful family." And after a while, Willis's wife published the first photos and video of the actor after his retirement. The indestructible hero looks happy. After the news about Willis's illness, the organizers of the Golden Raspberry Anti Award withdrew the award from the actor, which he received for the worst acting job in the film Cosmic Sin. Bruce Willis became the winner of this comic awards ceremony in 2021. The organizers could not decide which of the latest works with the actor deserved the prize and dedicated a specially created nomination to him, the worst performance of Bruce Willis in films of 2021. Among the 8 films submitted for consideration by the jury, Cosmic Sin won. But in the end, the co-founders of the award said that due to Willis's diagnosis, it would be simply tactless to give him such an award. Thus ended a whole era in the world of the film industry, an era that has become a cult for billions of people. And even though not all of Willis's works have become successful, we are still happy to rewatch some of them with popcorn in the evenings. Well, because each of us needs a hero who can blow the asses off the bad guys. But if you want to know even more about the iconic role of John McClane, click here on this icon. I guarantee you will see your favorite movie from a completely new perspective. What is the uniqueness of the first part of Die Hard? And why does the main character end up as a guest in his own franchise? Follow the link and find out everything. It was Biographer. Thank you for being with us. Like and do not miss new videos. Bye-bye.